Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Filmsnobbery. I am your host, the film snob Nick Baisley, and my co-host tonight is going to be Mr. Jerry Cavallaro. Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Hi, very good, Nick. How are you?
Good, good. We're trying to test out this whole new live stream thing, so hopefully this works out a little bit better than some of the other Ustream issues that we had. So we're going to give this a shot. We've got a great show for everyone today. We've got a special guest. He's the founder of EgoFest, and you can find him on Twitter at twitter.com/PhilOnTilt. He's a frequent guest here and in our show, and we really appreciate it. Mr. Phil Holbrook, everybody. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
It's Phil.
Yay!
Yay! So for those of you who aren't familiar with EgoFest, real quick, Phil, take it away. What is EgoFest?
EgoFest is a small film festival for short films that we started 4 years ago, actually, here in Brainerd, Minnesota, and we wanted to bring some of the larger city action that was going on in the Twin Cities down in Minneapolis, and bring it to a little bit more of a small town, and try to get some people involved around here, so we started 4 years ago. We planned it as a one-time shot, and went over great, and kind of everybody went their own separate ways, and in the last year I've had a bunch of people approach me to do it again, and I said, well, let's see if we can figure out enough people to put this thing together, and a lot of people stepped forward, and so here we go again.
It's like it keeps pulling you back in. You just can't escape it.
Yeah.
So one thing that you guys are doing this year, and I don't know if you did it in other years, but one thing you guys are doing a little bit different this year is you're making it a lot really filmmaker friendly by not having any type of a submission fee.
Correct. Yeah, we're not doing any submission fees this year. We're trying to make everything as easy as possible for the filmmakers to enter. And so we're not doing any submission fees this year. And as a matter of fact, I think that this is probably the proper place to announce this. We were going over some of the funding that we got in. We happened to get a grant this year, and not only is there no entry fee, but we're adding a $200 cash prize to the best film of the festival.
Wow. That is phenomenal. I mean, you generally don't see. Generally, even when you go to any regular film festival, I mean, yeah, you get maybe a little award, either a plaque or something like that. But rarely is there a cash prize, unless you're Sundance or something like that, which is something we'll be talking about later. Now you also yourself are a filmmaker.
Yes.
Now,
yep.
I went over to your website, www.creativejinx.com, and I noticed a few different, the videos and stuff that you have up there. And now, do you have any? They're obviously, because of the format, a lot of them are shorts.
Yep.
Now, do you have anything feature length that you're either working on or that is out there that we could plug for you?
I don't have anything that's feature length that's out there. I have a couple feature length scripts that I've written. That one is nearing completion that I would like to start shooting in the future. But as of right now, all of the films that I've made are shorts.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Now, it's good practice from what I understand.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
What kind of got you into filmmaking?
Oh man, I've always loved filmmaking, and really got into films when I was a kid. My mom got me watching old films. She was really into films, and so she ended up having me watch a lot of the classics with her, and just fell in love with it.
Now, what kind of rig are you shooting with? I mean, when you pick up a camera to go shoot shoot these flicks, you're obviously going digital, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yep. There's a couple different ways that we shoot. Uh, we have several different cameras that we use. We shoot in HD. Um, we've used Canons and Sony. However, sometimes I do work for a production house that does outdoor hunting and fishing shows, and so they are very kind to us in allowing us to borrow some of their equipment. So there's been times where we've gotten to use, some $35,000 cameras, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I can imagine. No, I actually was checking out some of the flicks that are on your site, www.creativejinx.com, and and I noticed that I noticed that what you shot looked really well done, and I was going to kind of also comment a bit. Do you are you the writer of the are you kind of like the director slash writer slash producer type of situation in all these, or do you kind of try to split up the tasks amongst the group?
Well, for most of them, I have written them. However, the latest short that we did, called Honest Work, I actually came up with the idea of it, and I was telling a guy at work about it. He's one of the cameramen at work, and he asked me if he could help me write it. And I said, well, sure, absolutely, that'd be fun. And right at that time, he had to go out on a shoot, and so he was out on the road for a week. And when he came back from that trip, he came back and he walked in my office and he said, "I have a first draft." And I was like, "Well, let me read it." And that's what we ended up shooting.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Do you guys plan to work more in the future on other projects? Do you have anything in the hopper that you're waiting to do? Aside
Well,
from
I'm trying to finish up this feature script that I have, and I'd like to put that together. As of right now, I'm really kind of swamped as far as just between work and trying to put EgoFest together, because that is February 20th. And so until I get that done with, I'm probably not going to be shooting much in the near future.
All right, and just to remind everyone out there, the submission deadline for EgoFest this year is January 20th. The festival itself is February 20th over at the Franklin Arts Center Auditorium, which is in Brainerd, I almost said Montana for crying out loud, for Minnesota, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, it's a great auditorium. It's really nice theater in there. I actually went to junior high there when I was a kid, and in the last few years, it was purchased by ArtSpace
Oh, okay.
and turned into a really nice art center.
All right. Now, have you actually gone and taken any of your shorts to any film festivals, or have you kind of tried to play the circuit around, if for no other reason than to kind of get a little bit of intel as to how that stuff is actually put together fest-wise to kind of help with EgoFest?
I haven't. We've submitted to some online things before, but most of the time we have just posted our stuff up online free for people to check it out. Honest Work we actually have on my website right now, which has a free download for it, and a free download of the entire soundtrack that we used from a lot of really great musicians. And so we've just kind of put our stuff out there right now. We've been talking lately on submitting some things to festivals and getting some stuff out there, but never really went about it. As far as EgoFest goes, we, when I put EgoFest together originally, I was very naive about it and had no clue about anything really. And I just kind of went about and did it. And from making mistakes, I learned a lot.
Have you, you utilized, and where we met and started talking, you utilize Twitter and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Do you find that to be an invaluable tool for kind of, the new DIY set filmmaker that, you guys have all been labeled as? I'm not a filmmaker.
Oh yeah, absolutely though. Absolutely. I think that Twitter, amongst other places on the nets, has really been a place for filmmakers to really flourish. When it comes to Twitter, everybody's kind of on even ground there, and you just kind of put yourself out there, and like kind of grabs hold of like, and all of a sudden, I went from one week where I had about 100 people following me to the next week I had all sorts of people, and it was kind of like we just ran into this whole indie filmmaking community that was there, and everybody was so supportive, and yeah, it's really kind of amazing.
Yeah, speaking of people who are big with the indie film community here, we actually have a great group of people that are in the chat. You're one of them who is in there as always. Almost every week. Bobby Bless is in there now. So is Sacred Flash, the Screamstress, and so is Vault of Horror. And no, I agree. I mean, through Twitter and through other, social media that are out there, I mean, we've been able to grow our audience, and I've been able to watch a lot of filmmakers, kind of reach new people that way. Another thing, I mean, I think it's also good because you also get, if they're on, these different social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that, you can also, start building a rapport with the film festivals. You can start building a rapport with, the film critics who are out there, or other celebrities. So, I mean, some of them are kind of not wanting to always talk to regular people, which is weird on a social media site. But if you could get their interest or something like that, like if you start talking to about your movie and happen to maybe accidentally include, mention them in a couple of, tweets or something like that, you can get their interest. You never know. I mean, you could end up, getting even a B-list celebrity in your movie, because they might be interested in what you're doing or what you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And just as an example of that, in the last few days, I've noticed that I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, I had saw the trailer for St. John's, Las Vegas, and was like, wow, that looks great. It's got Steve Buscemi in it, Sarah Silverman. I was like, wow, that is awesome. So I posted the link to the trailer up on Twitter and was just like, man, if you guys haven't seen this trailer yet, you got to check this out. And the next thing you know, I've got Hugh Rhodes, who is the writer-director for the film, says, hey, thanks for reposting my trailer. I really appreciate it because we're not getting any press right now, and the film is getting released in January.
Yeah, that being said, his film gets released on January 29th, and he's actually going to be a guest here. Hugh is going to be a guest here on the show sometime around that time, probably the week of or the week before. Him and I have actually been corresponding via email the past couple days, and you turned me on to him. Thank you very much. I was aware of that movie very peripherally, and I don't know how it really slipped my mind given the caliber of talent that's in it. It looks really good. I can't wait to see it.
Me too.
And yes, so I'm definitely very very much looking forward to that. And speaking of social media and people reaching out, again, you can find Phil Holbrook over at Phil on Tilt on Twitter. And again, you can reach him again over at www.creativejinx.com. So there. So what attracted you? I mean, have you always been a very tech savvy person? That you were like, oh, I got to get on this Twitter thing, or did you see that a news story or something and like, oh, it's what all the cool kids are doing, so you decided
No,
to.
actually, it's about a year and a half ago. A friend of mine was over at the house, and he actually works for a college. He's like the online learning dean or whatever of this community college, and he was trying to tell me about Twitter, and I was just like, oh, well, I'll go check that out. And like I do with a lot of things, I'll sign up for an account and then never do anything with it. And it was probably a good 6 months of having three people following me before I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be on here, let's be on here. Let's start really posting some stuff up here. Let's get involved with the community of people that's in here, and everything just kind of took off from there.
Have you been able to notice whether or not it's affected your traffic on your website or on your videos?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yep, it has absolutely affected it.
See, I'm trying to bring it back to movies a little bit here. So you're not you're not like 21 anymore. So
No.
you're getting into movies. I mean, how long has your how long ago was it that you finished your first short?
I don't know. I was probably 25, I bet. I'm 35 years old right now, so my first short I probably did 10 years ago, and really, I to be honest with you, I never went to college, and so I never went to college or film school or anything like that, and I worked a lot of jobs where I bartended and did that whole scene, and finally I just woke up one day and thought, you know what, I would like to do something else. I would like to do something that I wouldn't, where I would actually enjoy going to work every day.
You sound like the Minnesotan Troy Duffy.
Yeah. And so I made a plan that I was going to go and max out a bunch of credit cards, and I ended up buying a bunch of video equipment and computer and Final Cut. I taught myself how to use Final Cut and started doing weddings and commercials. And then next thing you know, I got hired on as for a day job, and I still do stuff on the side. And I thought, if I could get to a place where I could make enough money to support myself, and then I could be able to do fun projects on the side.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it sounds like a fairly traditional way of making film, especially when it comes to indie film. Maxing out your credit cards to get equipment and stuff like that. That's the Kevin Smith way of doing it. I mean, that's how he made Clerks. So, which could almost, one of your shorts could almost be seen as an homage to that slightly, being the fact that it takes place at a convenience store. but in color, and it looks less grainy.
Yes, but in color, yes. And it contains no big words.
No. Does it have? I didn't get a chance to watch all the way though. Does it have title cards?
No, yeah, no title cards.
I think only classy movies like Stuck Like Chuck have title cards.
Very funny, Nick.
I figured we'd find a way to work you into this interview at some point, Jerry. Which reminds me, Jerry, do you have any questions for Phil?
Well, actually, no. But before I was gonna say, I might end up having to submit the Stuck Like Chuck short film to EgoFest. I'm thinking, especially since Patrick is from Minnesota and he is actually living in Minnesota right now.
That sounds like a great idea.
So I think I may have to do that because I did edit a 9-minute short film based on the film. It uses some alternate scenes and it's told in a different way. So I might end up that might be the first festival I submitted to. So I made this short version to promote the feature, and I think I might have to send it to EgoFest because it sounds like an awesome festival, and then it has the Minnesota connection.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
So Phil, actually, speaking of being out in Minnesota, I mean, do you guys have a big hankering for? Is there a big independent film scene out there that we just don't know about?
There is.
There?
There's not as much up north here, but down in the cities and in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I'm actually going down to a film festival tomorrow called MUF, the Minneapolis Underground Film Festival, and there's going to be a lot of really great films down there.
Just to tell you, next to QUIF, MUF is the second best acronym for a film festival ever. Just saying.
Wasn't that
Headed
show
down to the
festival?
cities tomorrow for Muff.
What were you
Did
saying?
ever see The festival? Have either of you seen the show that was on IFC, The Festival?
No.
I'm pretty sure the fake film festival is called Muff in that film.
Interesting.
And that it's like a mini series kind of. It's like I think it was like
Hi.
8 episodes. So,
I haven't seen that.
You know, we actually have a snob film festival here in Massachusetts. It's actually technically right over the border in New Hampshire. It stands for, I guess, somewhat north of Boston. And I was actually going to go and cover it this year because I was like, Film Snob Film Festival. And unfortunately, they pulled out this year. Like, they decided not to do it because they said they couldn't get enough volunteers to help. And I was like, geez, if I knew, I would have just gotten my entire staff, among other people. Like, I wish I had known about it sooner. And because I called them up and it was like the guy's house, and I guess his wife answered, and she was like, yeah, we're not doing that this year. And I was like, oh, that's sad. No snub for me. But so you're going to the Minnesota Underground Film Festival, and are you going to see anything particular there, or are you going to cover it for anyone?
Actually, I'm not going down to cover it. I thought I would go down and check out a lot of the short films that are going on. They've got a great section of short films that they're showing tomorrow, and then after that, there is one that I wanted to see in particular called The City. It's by James Vogel, and it looks awesome.
Interesting. I just made a note of that so I can kind of keep an eye out for it. So, interesting. Now, is that have you been to that festival before? Do you know anything about it? Like, is it well attended? I mean, are people out there in Minnesota really kind of like looking for new stuff to, I mean, aside from the lakes, what is there to look at?
Especially after it snows.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we were joking around that as far as having a film festival in February, there's really nothing else to do around here. So everyone should come.
Everyone should come that's in the Brainerd or surrounding areas. It's over at February 20th at the Franklin Arts Center Auditorium, which is 1001 Kingswood Street in Brainerd. I almost said Michigan this time. God dang it! I cannot nail down your state in my mouth. Minnesota, everyone.
Yeah.
So
Brainerd, Minnesota, made famous by the Fargo movie.
yes.
Yeah, which we actually do have a Blue Ox bar, and it is just about that divey.
Yes, and you probably own a wood chipper.
I do own a wood chipper.
Is that where the films that don't get into the festival go? Into the wood chipper?
No, last time we had 34 films that were submitted, and we played every one of them.
Nice. Now, I guess I'm looking at the time. Maybe just one final question. Question is that do you have a favorite movie of the year so far, whether it be independent, mainstream, anything?
Oh man, I've seen a few. I usually go and see a lot of films, and I like a lot of films for a lot of different reasons. But the one that really sticks in my head, and it could just be because I have seen it recently, but the one that really sticks in my head right now is Ink.
Ink is awesome.
I just saw it about a week or so ago, and it's one of those that has just really stuck with me.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that movie, how it is not less underground, like how it is not more popular, is beyond me. I mean, it's got a relative. I mean, story-wise, it's no more out there than Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah.
It's got action. It's got drama. It's got, I think it appeals to, I think it's empowering to both just people in general, but specifically also to women, and you know what I mean, with the storyline
Yep.
for the storyteller and the little girl. I mean, it's visually looks beautiful, and I thought the soundtrack was excellent too. Which little known fact was that Jamin Winans, the director, also composed the soundtrack.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't really promote it all that much, and I think it's just because he's bashful about it. But I heard that through the grapevine that most of the music that is on that soundtrack is his. So,
Wow.
interesting little thing.
That's very impressive.
No kidding, right?
Especially, knowing from my own experience that music is one of the most difficult parts of filmmaking for me.
Did you have a hard time securing the bands that performed in any of your shorts?
No, not really. And people ask me that a lot. That's one of the most common things that people ask me is how did you get the music, or how did you get the location? And the only answer I have for that is I asked.
You can never underestimate the power of asking. It's really weird. That's how we've gotten pretty much all of our sponsors. It's how we've gotten 90% of our guests. We've had a couple of just been like, you need to be on here. But for the most part...
as far as like the music goes, a lot of times I will go to websites like the Free Music Archive and find some great music on there, and then I contact the musician, and only once have I had a musician tell me no.
That's so you're batting 90%. You really can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, well, everyone, I want to say thank you to Phil Holbrook for coming on. You can find him in general over at www.creativejinx.com. You can find him on Twitter, twitter.com/PhilOnTilt. You can also make sure you check out, if you're in the Minnesota area, state, make the drive on over to 1001 Kingwood Street in Brainerd, Michigan. I almost said Michigan again. God
You
dang
did
it.
say Michigan again.
I know. Minnesota. And for filmmakers, the submission deadline for EgoFest is January 20th. The festival date is February 20th at the Franklin Arts Center Auditorium. First, the best movie, I always say like first place, but I guess first place winner, best film, whatever, gets a $200 cash prize, which is, if even if you have to travel to be there, makes it a nice little, way to defer a little cost of your trip. So, filmmakers and film lovers alike should head over. And also, while you're there, head over to the Minnesota Underground Film Festival, because you may run into Phil there, and you'll be able to talk to him as well. And
Yes.
see, it gets you a little personal. So actors and actresses that are looking for work in Minnesota, go see Phil. He'll put you in a movie.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for having me on. I'm gonna hang up now and jump into the chat room.
Oh, thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. I know it was kind of short notice. That was our bad. We thought we had a guest, and then they were like, no, we're on next week. And I was like, uh-oh.
Well, I'm glad it worked out like this.
Thank you. No, I greatly appreciate it. And again, everyone, make sure you check out Phil's stuff over at creativejinx.com. You can actually watch his shorts. You can actually listen to listen and download parts of the soundtrack and the music. And great. Phil's been a great guy overall, but he's also been a great fan of ours and supporter, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Phil, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take it easy. So now the next thing I want to talk about real quick, just kind of jumping in, is I want to talk about, actually, I don't want to talk. Mr. Jerry Cavallaro has a great story he wants to talk about, but one thing I want to talk about real quick before he launches into it is I want to show something to everyone here. What is this that I have in my hands, Jerry? Oh no, it is the script for Stuck Like Chuck 2. It does indeed exist, people. He wasn't just talking about, he wasn't just talking about, oh, maybe we'll do it. I have got it. I have read it. It is good. Everyone should go see Stuck Like Chuck 1, or the original Stuck Like Chuck, to get, to prepare themselves for when they go see Stuck Like Chuck 2. There you go. There you go, Jerry.
Good that up. Nice.
See, you weren't expecting that. I just threw that one out there. But you have a great story you want to talk about, and I want you to talk about it. So please, definitely do that. I want you to talk about it. You just went and saw an interview. the guys from Broken Lizard and someone else as well. So go ahead and wow us.
I just want to tell Bobby Bless, you will be getting your screener soon. I am waiting for final approval from a band on whether or not I could use their film in the movie and in all, their song in the film and in all the marketing. And once I get that email, which should probably be this weekend, the final, like completely final, legal clearance free, everything cut of the film will be burned to DVDs and sent out to everyone that I promised it to. So like all the press and a few film festivals that I'm going to be submitting it to. So you will be getting it soon for review. So just want to say that. And okay, yeah, I did. I got to interview Broken Lizard yesterday. The group consists of Broken Lizard, the 5 guys. They did Super Troopers, Club Dread, Beer Fest, Puddle Cruiser, and now their new movie Slam and Salmon.
Slam and Salmon.
Yep. And in addition to getting to interview those 5 guys, I also interviewed the other star of Slam and Salmon, Michael Clark Duncan. So it was me, the guys from Broken Lizard, all 5 of them, and Michael Clark Duncan sitting at a table. They were eating seafood because it was at a seafood restaurant, and City Crab in Union Square in New York, cool little place. And we were just sitting around the table, and I didn't film them, but I did have my camera on, and I recorded all the audio. I'll be posting that soon. It was like a 25-minute interview, and it was just so much fun. They really are, like, great guys. They're a lot of fun to talk to, and I ended up, like, I guess they were interested in me, because as soon as I sat down, they started asking me questions. Because my press contact, when he introduced me to them, usually they just say, "This is Jerry from We Are Movie Geeks," and then I go into the interview. Before that, I was talking with my press contact because it was running a little late, so I was telling him about how I competed. Well, I guess I should go back a little bit further because this is going to confuse everybody. Before the interview, they did a big public event at City Crab. There was actually a chowder eating contest to promote the film. Like a local radio station was there, and they got competitive eating champions and some average Joes, and they just set them up in front of a table. They had Slam and Salmon posters everywhere. They were giving out T-shirts and posters and stuff, and they had a chowder eating contest, and Michael Clark Duncan was the MC for it. And that was a really fun little event that they had. They had a nice crowd there. It was really cool, and one of the guests was Crazy Legs Conti, who's a competitive eating champion, and also was one of my opponents, I guess you would call him, in the Netflix Movie Watching World Championship, which I competed in last year. So I got to talk to Crazy Legs a little bit, and he didn't remember me. We were talking about some films and about my movie and about what he's been up to, some of his upcoming competitive eating challenges that await him. So after that, I mentioned to the press contact that I once competed against Crazy Legs. So then he started asking me about the Movie Watching World Championship. So then when he introduced me to Broken Lizard, to the guys, he introduced me as this guy once competed and beat Crazy Legs Conti in a movie watching competition. So I didn't even get to interview them for 5 minutes because they started asking me tons of questions about that. So that was really cool that like they just seemed genuinely interested in it. And then after about 5 minutes, Paul Soder, one of the guys from the group, said, "Well, this was a great interview," like in a joking way. And then Kevin was like, "I know." Kevin Heffernan said, "Yeah, I know. We didn't even let him ask us any questions. We should probably shut up now. You're so fascinating, Jerry." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you." So I was really surprised by that. And like throughout the interview, they kept throwing questions back at me and asking me stuff. They were really like friendly. They were answering everything. They were joking around. They told me a little bit about Super Troopers 2. It's now in its 4th draft.
Mm-hmm.
They said that
now
they're going to do it when it's in its 20th draft.
You did actually leave out a really key part of that story though, where you said they're working on Super Troopers 2, but you didn't tell the kind of cool story of how you asked them.
Okay, well I can tell that.
So,
I guess it's not going to be on video anyway.
So let's Tarantino this a little bit and let's work it back.
Let's just keep jumping back because I'm jumping around the interview because the Super Troopers towards the end of the interview. But yeah, if for anyone who saw Stuck Like Chuck, or possibly, I don't know if it's any of the pictures or promotional materials for it, but Rob wears a shirt, the character of Rob wears a shirt that says sequel at the end of the movie.
Question mark.
So he wears, it says sequel with a question mark. So during the entire interview, I had a shirt on over it, like a button-down shirt, and I had it covering the shirt that said sequel. So I was asking them a bunch of questions, and I said, okay, guys, now here comes the required question that every single person has to ask you, and I know you get it every time, but I have to ask you because it's, you know, it's required of me, it's expected. And I just ripped open the shirt and said, tell me about Super Troopers 2. And they lost it. Like, they were all laughing hysterical, which was great. And Michael Clark Duncan let out this huge laugh, you know, how he has, like, that really bubbly laugh where, like, a really tall guy, he's a huge guy. He's, like, a beast of a man. I got to meet him, I got to shake his hand afterwards. It was like shaking hands with a catcher's mitt. Like, he's the sweetest guy. He was so, like, he was, like, smiling the whole time. He was joking. I heard him laugh at least 20 times during the interview, and he lost it. And then everyone started laughing at him laughing. It was just really funny. And then they told me a little bit about Super Troopers 2 from that. It was really cool. They said they can't screw it up, so they're waiting till they get it absolutely perfect before they film it. They pretty much have the financing together for it already, and they're hoping to shoot that after their next film. And their next film is actually, they called it Super Troopers in College. It's actually called Rogue Scholars, and it's set up with WB, and it's about a bunch of college professors. They play 5 college professors that are all good friends, and the seniors pull a prank on them. So then they pull a prank on the seniors, and then it becomes a war between the professors and the students. So they said it's pretty much Super Troopers in college.
Nice.
But it sounds pretty interesting. And then they started messing with me, and they told me that they were also had an idea for a movie about British bobbies, where they were all going to play British, you know, police officers, British bobbies, and Michael Clark Duncan's going to play their British superior officer. And then they tried to get Michael Clark Duncan to do a British accent. He refused, and then he started laughing, and then they kept, like, egging him on. But it seems like they have a lot of fun on set, because after that, like, Michael was like, "Did you see what they do to me? You see what they do?" And I was like, "I'm surprised you guys had any work done on set." And they were like, "You know, we're surprised by that too. It really never seems like it feels like we're working." For Kevin, because Kevin always is under pressure when he's directing, but it's usually like Jay.
Right.
It's Jay. I can never say his last name, and he said it, and like when he said it, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's how you say it?" Like, it's really like complicated.
Yeah, I've always said it like Jay Shandreskahar or something like that, but I know that it's nothing like that.
It's like Chandra Sakhar or something like that.
That's, yeah. Let's just call him Jay.
Yeah, I just called him. I didn't call any of them by name because I didn't know what to call them. I felt like weird just using, because a lot of them are like.
You're gonna point to Kevin and go, Farva, question for you.
I wanted to, but I think they would have been cool with that. But like Steve Lemmy, they call him Lemmy.
Yep.
His real first name is Steve. I didn't know if I should call him Lemmy, if I should call him Steve or Mr. Lemmy. Like I always hate like that, like when they don't introduce themselves. And but I did have them do like a really funny introductions for We Are Movie Geeks.
Oh,
Sorry,
thank you. Yeah.
But it was really funny. Their introductions were great. I can't wait. I don't know how I'm going to use them, but I'm going to use them in something because their introductions were hilarious.
I want to take a moment and just I want to pimp out something that's going on here in the chat actually, because this is a live show. The Screamstress here is pimping out a horror contest she has over at www.screamstress.com. And they said all you got to do is leave a comment to enter. Perfect for people who like something less obvious. So go check her stuff out, and we want to make sure that gets done. Also want to give a shout out to my friend Bobby Bless here in the chat, who attends pretty much every show, scheduled or not. And go check out his awesome drinking games and stuff and other whatnots over at www.moviecynics.com as well.
That website is quite epic, Nick.
It is. It's got a tidbit of epic to it. Yes. You know, and while I'm plugging stuff, I think I might as well do 2 things. First thing I want to plug Sony Creative and Vegas Pro 9 editing software, professional video editing, audio production, and Blu-ray disc production. Final Draft, the industry standard for script writing, version 8 now available. And Boris Effects, the advanced level plugin and application for all kinds of editing fun. Also check out their Red, Continuum, and Graffiti software suites.
That's nice. And let me just add for Final Draft, that's the only thing I write on.
I gotta tell you, having just read 100 pages of script written in Final Draft, I gotta tell you, I really, really like how it came out. Not only format-wise, obviously, but also, content-wise. Jerry made a really, he set up a really good premise, and I think his story flows really well. But you guys are going to hear more about that as production begins on Stuck Like Chuck 2.
As pre-production begins, because we are going to need your guys' help promoting it to try to get some money raised for it. Because this film will never get made unless we can get at least $25,000 to $30,000 by, I would say, August. So we're gonna have a lot of fundraising ahead of us, and I'm gonna be pimping it out on every show. So sorry in advance. And hope you all pimp it out a little bit, and we can raise the money. So that way you can see if Nick is right that it's an awesome script.
Now, if you like this show, speaking of if you like this show, you like all the other stuff we're doing, I highly encourage you to check out the 2 other shows that are available over at www.filmsnobbery.com. I highly recommend you guys check out Film Courage, which we just recently acquired for syndication. You can check out David Brandon and Karen Worden as they interview different people in the independent film world, and some of them not even necessarily just indies. They had Sean Patrick Flannery on. They've had Mark Duplass, Lynn Sheldon, and also they've even had Clifton Collins Jr. on there. So they've got a little bit of chutzpah out there at www.latalkradio.com, where Film Courage airs live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then also check out our newest show that we launched. Episode 3 should be available this Sunday. It's called Things I Didn't Learn in Film School, with director Francis Abbey and his co-host Jerry Dennis of Movie Geeks United fame. So definitely check that out. They're gonna talk about film technique, film theory, and as well as I believe this week they actually do have a guest on as well. So definitely check those out. A little bit of extra film snobberiness for your week. And obviously check out all the reviews and all the other stuff that we put up over at www.filmsnobbery.com. Jerry, it's this time of year. It's the time of year that I always get very, very angry. And it's not just because of Christmas. It's because 2 perfect storms of crap happen around this time every year. The first one is the Oscars, and then the second one is Sundance. There's my WordCamp Boston ticket. I'm gonna have to put that off to the side. I want to talk a little bit about my feelings of the recent lineup that was unveiled for Sundance 2010.
Go right ahead.
You and I
So we talked about it. So
you and I had a conversation about this a little bit, and how we were somewhat incensed, as well as most other people are, about how.
Yes, I expect it. I'm not disappointed because I expected it. But yeah, you can continue.
Now, the one thing I don't have information on in front of me is the stuff that came out of Sundance Lab this year, which, that I consider to be way more indie than 90% of the list that's here. But, you're looking at the U.S. dramatic competition. These are the films that are in competition from the United States. I'm not counting the documentaries or the foreign world cinema stuff. But just the stuff that's coming out of the U.S., people are sitting there saying, this is apparently what Sundance believes indie is. You have a movie like Blue Valentine that has over $1 million budget. Also has stars. It stars Ryan Gosling, Michelle Williams, Mike Vogel, and John Doman. That to me just screams duh, that's going to get into Sundance just based on the star power alone. Forget about the fact that the budget is huge. Now I'm sure that budget is huge, mostly probably to pay for the cast. There's a,
Goes with those types of films.
yeah.
The cast work for scale, quote unquote.
Yeah.
However, they still get all the perks like trailers, food, shopping expense, travel, 5-star hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But they're working for scale to boost up their indie cred. You don't see it, but I'm air quoting almost everything I just said.
Right. Next one that's down on the list, I'm actually okay with. I haven't seen it, but I'm okay with it. It doesn't have any big names. Now, I couldn't find budget information on it, but the biggest name that I saw in it was Wendy McClendon Covey from Reno 911, the blonde chick from Reno 911 with the nice boobs. She's in the movie Douchebag. Really no big names in it. It's directed by Drake Dormus, written by Lindsay Stidham and also Drake Dormus, Jonathan Schwartz, and Andrew Dickler. All those names sound fake. I'm sure they're not though. But yeah, I mean it's basically the cast is with the exception of Wendy seems to be very pretty unknown, and having not seen the movie, I can't tell you, even just by looking what the budget looks like. But that one I'm kind of okay with. Then the next one that down really kind of ticked me off because it's the movie Hesher, which has a $7 million budget. I don't know how you can have a movie like that, and that's the one that stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Natalie Portman, and also Rainn Wilson. Yeah,
I've never heard of any of those people.
Yeah, who's Natalie Portman? In her making of.com.
Wilson? Is that guy from that Ninja Assassin movie?
That pun almost worked. Like I want to laugh at that. Like I really do.
It's not funny.
Here's another one. You want to talk about another flick? You have I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Obsolidia, which was made for $2.8 million. That's the one that was directed and written by Diane Bell, and yeah, I really still. I mean, how can anything over I would say. I'm going to give them $100,000. I will go that high. How can anything over $100,000 be considered an independent movie? I mean...
Well, here's the thing, Nick. Independent movies, the actual definition of them has changed considerably.
Yeah.
Just like my understanding. I mean, Super Troopers was an independent film. It cost $10 million, and, Fox eventually picked it up. It was an independent film. Wedding Crashers, by definition,
Yep.
is an independent film. So Wedding Crashers had a $30 million budget. We all know who starred in it.
Yep.
So it's just the fact that rather than embrace the change and go back to and redefine independent, they just want as many stars and celebrities in the films and as big a budget as possible. And even though this was the year that they supposedly were going back to their roots, and they promised to pick 5 truly grassroots independent films.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember they said that, and I think the lowest budget we found was $100,000.
The lowest I found was 3 Backyards at $300,000.
$300,000.
Yeah, that was
that's grassroots indie right there.
Yeah, I mean it's weird though. I mean, you look at these movies, and I guess you're right. I mean, to a point. If the directors went out there and independently financed by getting investors or by doing some other kind of weird hustle, were able to raise $7 million for the movie Hesher, then good for them. And maybe we should be talking to the directors and the writers and producers of that movie, because then they would probably be able to tell us how to raise $7 million for a movie. But I don't know, there's something just doesn't seem right calling a $7 million movie an independent film. You know what I mean?
I think we need a new title. We need something new to call. Just like Lloyd Kaufman said, the studios have stole the name independent.
I
or months.
I agree with that. I agree. You
So
know, you called it untethered film, I believe.
yeah, untethered films that have no connections.
Yep. No connection to the studios. No big names. No.
Who knows?
Maybe that'll what?
I mean, it could have a name actor in it. Like, I mean, I have Chris Elliott. I mean, he's that guy. So, but the way I got him was I went up to him and asked. It wasn't through agents. It wasn't through, I just literally tracked him down and I tracked him down a while ago and asked him for an interview, and then that led into, like, knowing him. I guess you could say that was sort of like a connection, but not really. I mean, since he's in the film, it hasn't been like, oh, now let me get my agent to watch it, let me get, the Family Brothers to watch it and stuff. He just did the film just for fun, and, like, that, it seems like there's some films that, like, they really have to push. And most of those films, like a $7 million independent film, I can tell you exactly how they get their budget. The guy that writes it or directs it, or like once the director picks up the script, he goes to his connections. He goes to the people he knows that are in Hollywood. He goes to his sales agents or whatever that he's paying top dollar for, and then they get it to actors like Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Paul Dano or Zoe Deschanel. Once one of those actors agrees to be in the film, it's within a week you can get your budget.
Yep.
Really, you can get a budget. You just have to get to one of those actors. But the problem is getting to those actors is so impossibly difficult.
Now, I got a question. What if you were to say, go up to an actor? I mean, it sounds like you're almost using the actor less for talent, more for name and celebrity.
That's exactly what you're doing.
The question is, at that point, do you just pay off the celebrity to say they're involved in your project just to get, just to raise money? Like just say like, oh, executive produced by whatever, like either give them a credit or put them in the movie, but in a shorter role, but pay them better for it or something like that, just so that you'll be able to attract more money for the production.
That's exactly what is being done, and there's no doubt in my mind that happens. And okay, I'm gonna tell you something that Matt Asselton told me. Matt Asselton is the director of Gigantic, which stars Paul Dano, Zoe Deschanel, John Goodman, Ed Asner, and a few other people. Zach Galifianakis. Yeah, there's a few other actors in it also. He told me that part of the casting decision, he goes, first of all, those were all the people that I wanted for the film, and they're all talented actors. They're all great in the film. I really enjoyed Gigantic. I thought it was a very well made film, and they were great in the film. However, what surprised me was when I asked him about casting, he was like, well, I wanted all of them because not only are they talented, but people know them. So by getting them, he goes, first he got Paul Dano attached to it. Paul Dano really liked it. And Paul Dano actually put up some of his own money. Now, this is usually never done.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul Dano liked it so much, he put some of his own money up, and then he got he sent it out to some producers that he knew, and that's how they raised the money for Gigantic. So he got the script to Paul Dano through some inside connections. He didn't go into detail on that. But what he told me was, when I said, try to pitch the film, how did you pitch the film to people? He goes, oh, it's easy. I tell people that Paul Dano and Zoe Deschanel and John Goodman are in it. And I was like, yeah, but what do you tell them what's it about? He goes, it doesn't matter. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, no one cares what the movie's about. They just care who's in it. He said, that's why we could do a trailer where all we do is list the stars that are in the film, and that'll do 10 times. That movie will do 100 times better than a trailer that is like a really involved and interesting story that has no name actors in it. He said it's as soon as you get name actors in your film, you're good. But the sad thing is, once you get name actors in a film, usually the budget rises a lot. Then you have to pay off producers and stuff, and then that director almost never makes any money back, especially when they try to sell it in such a bad economy and they can't make the money.
Yeah,
it's really because now the days of $10 million deals at Sundance are over.
Yeah.
But the movies that are playing at Sundance are getting more and more expensive.
I have an interesting story to tell, real quick, and this is very, very pertinent. This is very pertinent exactly to where we are in this conversation.
To about Broken Lizard, but you go first.
I had an interview last night with Mary Mazio from 50 Egg Productions, 50 Egg Films out in Wellesley, Mass. She has a documentary that's out called 1098. Everyone definitely needs to go see it. One of the things that she mentioned is that she was coming back. She had a friend of hers over at Focus Features who was just coming back from Cannes and was saying, or Cannes, I don't know, and was saying that, oh my God, films out there are getting bought for like nothing. And it seems to me that, and specifically screenwriters seem to be getting the shaft on a lot of their stuff. It seems like film, specifically independent film, because if we still go with the term independent film here, even at Cannes or at all these other things that are, at the markets where they are getting bought, seem to be getting bought for a lot less. It's almost like we're just so desperate as filmmakers, you're so desperate as filmmakers to get your movies out there that you're willing to take almost any deal that's thrown at you. So you got to wonder, if the reasoning, why some of these filmmakers aren't making any money is because they're acting too desperate because of the economy.
That could be it, but I think it's that they're just they're afraid to take chances on independent films, even though independent films have continued to prove to be successful. But the studios that are buying them have been afraid to take more chances for some reason lately. It's very strange, but yeah, that's something I have noticed. But yesterday with Broken Lizard, I was talking to them, and I was talking to Jay, last name we can't pronounce, and he was saying to me that last year he's pretty sure that the biggest deal at Sundance was $400,000 for a film, and he said the days of $10 million sales are over. The dream of $10 million is gone, and they're only making like $400,000, and these are for films that have big name stars in it. And were made for like $5 million, $10 million, and like he's saying, like a $3 million movie at Sundance may only fetch $100,000 distribution deal now.
Right.
So that's exactly what he was saying. Like they're buying them for a lot less, and for some reason the prices are going up on them though. So people are spending more money to make less.
Well, I think it's because they're hoping that just by virtue of getting distributed, then that means that they're going to be able to now be inclusive in the system and make something else. Or they're hoping that the film that they made will get, the distribution that they get will enable them to make all their money back more so on, like, say, DVD and theatrical. We all know they're not making jack on theatrical, so let's just say really what it is. It's DVD and any other merch that they can hawk online.
Yeah, I don't even understand why people why independent filmmakers do theatrical anymore.
Well, the other thing that actually, another thing I want to bring up about the interview with Mary Mazio that I did last night was she's an interesting case. She actually is the first filmmaker that she actually went around the distribution system, and she actually spoke with the theater chain AMC directly, and actually got her movie distributed theatrically in their theaters just by making a deal with them, going completely around the traditional distribution model. So she's now having theatrical premieres in all of the key cities. And in their nice theaters, their landmark theaters, that's part of their new deal. They have a whole website set up. I think it's called AMC Direct, is the name of it, or something similar to that. And filmmakers can submit their film, and what they'll do is you still have to pay for your marketing. You still have to pay to get your prints to the theaters and stuff, but they'll put it in all their big theaters. Yep. But you're still paying a hefty price, because even just to get one film print, it's going to cost about $30,000 for a feature film. You could do it. I think you're exaggerating that number highly. I've seen it for $6,000.
I have not seen it for anything below. I mean, I've read books there are plenty of film books that say that it's like close to 30. I've seen it as high as 60,000, but I don't think it's that high anymore. But I mean, I guess you could get a lower film stock or for maybe lower, but usually I've heard that the studios like a studio print is valued at $30,000 for a feature film.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's something that eventually we'll have to get back to you guys on. So I want you guys. We're gonna wrap up the show as it normally goes now. We'll stick around for a little bit. We'll take some questions, and we'll definitely chat with you guys here in the chat and stuff now. But I want to say thank you to Phil Holbrook. Again, he's twitter.com/PhilOnTilt and www.creativejinx.com. Check out EgoFest. Again, the submission deadline for filmmakers is January 20th. The festival date is actually February 20th at the Franklin Arts Center Auditorium on Kingswood Street, Brainerd, Minnesota.
Nice.
There we go. And, I want to thank everyone who came in the chat today. I want to thank Andrea, Bobby Bless. I want to thank Phil, who stuck around. Sacred Flash, Screamstress, Vault of Horror, and some other Zen Master of DOD. So I don't know who that is, but thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. And because that's a new name I don't know. Or maybe it's just one of our usual people that are not just whatever. But be sure to check out Filmsnobbery live every Tuesday and Friday nights at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will generally have guests on. We'll talk movies, talk a little bit about independent film. Usually we try to get into the business of independent film. And I want to thank director Jerry Cavallaro for sticking with me for how many episodes we've already done together and continue to do. And I can't wait for until he starts working on Stuck Like Chuck 2, because the script actually, he finished it up in time to send it on over to the folks over at the Orlando Film Festival. And I said, do you want me to read it, just kind of give it a quick proofread for you? And he said, sure. I polished through it I raced through it in like an hour and a half. And really good script. I can't wait to see how it gets made. So, thank you, Jerry, for being here. Thank for everyone in here in the chat. So, good night, everybody.